Hello and welcome. Today I'm sharing a project I thought of to make cards and tags using embossed images on tea bags. So I'm showing you the items that I pulled out, the cards, the tags, the tea bags. I decided to put fabric pieces on the backs of my cards just because I have my Versamark embossing ink pad. I pulled out some stamps that I thought might look nice on these pieces. I have also an unused coffee filter that I might use, and then I pulled out some scraps to collage or to use in some way, some interesting papers and scraps, just a few little things, and then I pulled out some embossing powders in various colors. I also had some fabric scraps, which mostly I don't end up using. So first thing I do is I'm going to emboss my tea bags, and trying to figure out which side, which way to emboss. And I pull out my sad faces ladies. I'm very drawn to sad women paintings and pictures. So that one's stamp set by Dina Wakely, and I really like that set. And I put the stamp on my very dirty stamp block. Gosh, and stamp it on there. And I'm using some embossing powder that looks black, but it's actually a dark copper color. And I just stamp her on there and put my cap back on my container, because those little things are really easy. Those little embossing powders are really easy to knock over. So you can imagine how I know that. And so then I pulled out this stamp set that, as you can see, I have not used it. I loved it when I bought it. I still love it, but I never used it. So I'm having a hard time getting it off that plastic, but I prevail and I get it off there. And I decided to just do, part of it. I didn't really pay attention to exactly. I wasn't being extra super careful. I didn't tape off the image part that I didn't want on there, and it worked out fine. I decided to emboss this one in white for some reason, but I like the way it came out with white embossing powder. And earlier there I was inking up my stamp and bumping the table a lot, so I apologize for that, and I will I'll do it a different way from now on, I think. So, in putting the embossing ink pad on the stamps. So I'm pulling out the next image I want to use, and I decide I'm going to do one of these nice flower images. I really like those too. So I'm going to, first I'm going to bump the table a little bit more, and then I realize and pick it up and stamp it on there. And it looks pretty nice, although when you first stamp it, you can't see, obviously, until you put the powder on there. And I decided for some reason to use a purple, which I thought looked nice. But I really prefer the black and the white in the end. But I did it in purple, and I used that image, and it was nice, so it turned out fine. So then I decided I was going to use my bugs as a also Tim Holtz stamp set, and I had this idea of stamping the writing on the background, like a background. And you'll see in a minute, I'm trying to figure out where to put that thing. You'll see in a minute that this came out really good. So I just stamped the words there, the writing, and then the bug right on top. And it's funny because I couldn't see where the words were, so I'll just try my best, and it turned out fine. You'll see in a minute how cool that looks. That is actually my black embossing powder, and You'll see that looks really cool. See? So put that to the side. I'm putting everything to the side, and then I'm going to heat emboss it later with my heat tool. Also, don't forget to wash your stamps after you use that embossing ink, because it will mess up your stamps if you don't do that. Okay, so I'm showing that I'm going to heat emboss everything, but first I'm going to spray that coffee filter, because I really like grungy, messy stuff, and it was just too white and too clean. So I put the brown, and then it was a little dark. So I tried different things there, watered it down a little bit. It soaked right into that coffee filter, so the brown, so it was pretty dark. And then I tried to make a lighter piece, and oh well, we'll see how it goes. It's not a big deal. And then I put some scraps of raspberry tea bags that I had on that card that I just showed. Just random little scraps that I saved, because of course I have to save everything, and I attached them to my card willy-nilly, and then I glued the fabric onto the cards, the other little index cards. So I decided to take my raspberry tea bag collaged card and use that first, because I really liked the way that looked, and I wanted to try my background idea again. So I had this other stamp set. I can't remember what this one is. And I decided to stamp that background on there, and then stamp the bug that you see up there on top of that. So this was a good idea, I'll say that, but I have some problems with it later on, which you'll see at the end how I fixed it. When I did stamp the bug on top, I should have stamped the background first in black, and then the bug on top of that in a different color. Because it just really didn't look good once I heat embossed it. But like I said, I fixed it, and it's, lesson learned, lesson for me and anybody out there who wants to try that. There just wasn't enough of a contrast in that particular one. It just didn't look right. And the other ones on the tea bag looked great, but that one just didn't. So then I'm going to try my coffee filter, and like I said, the other one I thought was a little dark, and I decided to use the lighter one. I'm still bumping the table and then remembering, so I'm inking up my stamp off to the side and trying to figure out which direction to stamp that background on. And then I can't remember, I put the background on there, and then I don't know, I decided not to put the background on there, and I decided just to put a butterfly. But you'll see also in a minute that I don't know why I put that little butterfly all by itself there, and I change it. I should have probably edited this out, but I didn't, so it's there. So remember, on this one I had the background with the writing, and for some unknown reason I decide that I'm going to add this stamp on there. It all comes out to be a big mess and a jumble, and the only reason I left this part in is because at the end of the video I show this little piece, so I thought I'd better leave it in to show you what not to do and with this, I think. So I'm going to try the faces again, but the opposite faces, I guess you would call it, of that stamp set. I didn't even take it off the plastic this time. I just inked it up and stamped it on there. I didn't know what was on there, because you can't really see until you put the powder, and then you'll see that it's just a big jumble. But anyway, I gave it a try, another lesson learned, I guess. So yeah, I'm looking at it going, I don't know about that. And then I did the butterfly, and then I realized, why did I put that sad little butterfly by itself on that thing? I mean, it could be used as a focal point on something, but I decided to just wipe it all off, because I had not heat embossed it at this point. So you can just wipe it off, and then I flipped it over which you'll see the coffee filter, flipped it over just to make sure, since I had the embossing ink on there, I didn't want it to make a big mess on that side, so I flipped it over to use the other side. And then I'm doing it a better way, I think, and putting the lovely writing on first and then the butterfly on there, and that turns out much better. And you'll see that in a minute. It looks much better. There you go. Doesn't that look nice? Okay, so now I'm showing you my finished pieces: the mess, the butterfly on the coffee filter, my sad bug, which I'm going to work on. I really like that one. Another butterfly, bug, plant, faces, and sad lady. And then I have my cards, and I'm going to cut those out. They dried up. I just use a glue stick, as you saw earlier, and that works fine. And I do a lot of sewing around the edges of my cards, so I figured, they'll stick on there just fine with the sewing. I mean, they'll stay on there. So I cut those out, and then you'll see also I'm doing a lot of cutting, and I don't end up using all of these cards. I thought I was going to make all of these, and I just, that would have taken way too long for this video. So I have some things ready to go to make later on with some of those cards, but you'll see in the end what I do. And then I have a tag to show that you can make a tag, of course, with this idea. And I put some dictionary paper on the back of that tag with, again, my glue stick, and then just cutting that out. And then I'm going to work on the front. So I have all the backs of my cards and tags ready, and now I'm going to work on the front of those. And I know I have to put something on the front of that tag, but I'm not sure what it's going to be, so I just put it off to the side, and I'll show that in the end how I decide to finish that. So with this one, let's see. I'm just trying to decide which way to go. So I pick out that one with the flower that's embossed in purple. And that paper is actually just a copy of some pretty scraps of beautiful handwriting that I have, that I just put those little pieces of paper on my copy machine, made a copy on regular old copy paper, and then I distressed it the way you see it there with the vintage photo, the Tim Holtz vintage photo distress ink. And I just sprayed it and with water, like I did with the coffee filter earlier. I did that to the paper to make it look old. And so I glued that onto the card, as you can see, because I thought the tea bag needed something in the background. And I had not done that technique with the writing like I did with the other tea bags. So I did that, and now I'm tearing the tea bag to fit on the card in some way. You can attach it, I could have attached it and then cut around the edges to fit the card exactly, but I decided to do something different, kind of have a different look to it. So I like the way that looks, but I need to ink around the edges, make the edges darker is what I prefer. So I'm showing that I'm thinking I'm going to use the Distress ink liquid again to do that, but no, that doesn't make any sense. I actually get my brown ink pad and I ink around the edges. It's a little messy process there, and I probably should have used a sponge applicator, but oh well, why get up and go get the sponge applicator when I can do it this way, quicker and messier, but it works. So that turned out good and nice and brown and grungy. And then I glue that piece down. I really like the way that turned out. And I glue it down with my glue stick. So then I'm going to move on to the next one in just a moment. glue that on there, and I'm also realizing that I'll probably sew around or do something around the flower, like in an oval shape, sort of. So I'll put that to the side and decide which one I'm going to do next. And I'm trying to decide. Am I going to do the tag, another card? I just don't know. Very indecisive at the moment. I like the way that the back of that card looks, so I think I'm going to use that one. And then again, what am I going to do? I decide on that one, and once again, I want something in the background, but I don't want writing and then writing on top of that. So I have a book page that I think looks good, and I just glue that on. It has some kind of, I can't remember what this is, and somebody gave it to me, so I have no idea what language it is, what type of writing it is, but it's something, it's different. It's not something I recognize. And it has like writing in different shapes. So I think it looks nice as a contrast to the writing on the background of the tea bag. So once again, I am going to tear the tea bag to the shape that I want. And I'm not being extra careful with these. I kind of, just what I get is what I get. And I like the way that looks, but I decide I want to edge my card. Oh, first, I'm sorry, I decided I needed something else behind the tea bag to add a little bit more contrast and interest. And so I'm going to edge around the card, get my brown distressed vintage look that I like, and then I'm going to put that fibery piece of fabric. I don't even know what that's called. Sorry, that piece, but I love the way it looks. It's almost a spider webby kind of thing, and I love the way that looks. I'm going to attach that to my card. But when I put the tea bag down, I realized that you could see through that writing, the background of the tea bag, a little bit too much. So I took a coffee filter and I cut a piece out, or tore a piece, to put that all together so that you can't see through the tea bag, if that makes any sense. So you'll see in a minute, hopefully, what I'm trying to say. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining. Okay, so there's the part of my coffee filter that I used to put on the back of that image, the tea bag. So now it's a little more opaque and it looks better to me. And then I took it to my sewing machine and I sewed in very wonky circles around that piece. So I like the way that looks a lot. I love the textures and the look and the vintage grunginess of it. So then I glued it down, obviously, and then later on I'm thinking I might sew around the edge of that card too. Okay, I'm back with a few of my finished projects. I thought I could finish all of them, but I get to working on these and I get very involved in every little detail. So I still have these left that I can use another time, which is fine because then I have something, ready to use later on if I want to make something quick or quicker. Then anyway, I finished them all in a different way, I guess. I'll just go through quickly. I say quickly a lot. I made my tag, and what I did was on the back, remember I had put the dictionary paper, and then on the front I collaged some papers that I had pulled out, just very quickly, trying not to think about it too much. I put some brown ink around this piece to darken it, and then I just put thread, regular black sewing thread, on the back of it and stuck it on with glue. And then I had this little bit of ribbon. I cut it or tore it in half, and I used half on here and half on here. I got my Tim Holtz words out and I stuck them on there. Oh, this one, I'm not sure. No, I didn't stick them on completely with glue because I didn't think they all look that great, to be honest. I'm getting low on my words. I've had this little chit-chat booklet and this, I have this one, and then these are also Tim Holtz with gold letters that I've had forever and ever. As you can see, I'm getting low on words, and look at this one. I've used so many, but this has lasted me for years, so it's a good deal. But anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I added a grungy ribbon that I already had, and the thread and all that. Okay, so that's one. Oh, I stapled these on because I just thought it added a nice touch. With this one, I added that piece, and I thought this one would look good with this fabric on here. I didn't sew around the edge because I didn't think I wanted to, but I am going to go back and do it now that I look at it, and the back too. I'm going to cut some of this off, extra pieces. It might even just tear off. There we go. So that's that one. And I can't remember if I was going to say anything else about that one. Okay, this one was my problem child. But what I like about mixed media is you can fix things. So I tried fixing that bug that was underneath here embossed. I tried different things, which I won't even go into, and none of it looked good. So finally, I just embossed this on a sturdy piece of paper. Again, the bug, I mean, and just tore it and then edged around with the brown ink, which I actually should have used black maybe, but oh well. And then this is just random thread I had on my table from tearing fabrics. I just save everything. So I really like the way that looks now. And I put that ribbon in the words. So I really, oh, and I put this paper on the back of it to say I have some, this is some origami paper that I have that's really pretty. So I'm happy. See, sometimes you can make lemonades out of lemons. So this one, I thought I would show you how I did this. I did this quickly, and now, you know, I'm not so sure. I like that, the color that's purple. I wish I had done it in black too. I think it would all coordinate better. And again, these words aren't stuck down permanently. So I may do something different with this one. Just the flower. I don't know. I don't want to mess with it because I tried the bug and it didn't work. But I wanted to show you just quickly. I just sewed it really quickly with some black thread, and now I'm going to glue it with my Fabri-Tac glue. Thought I'd just finish that off here on camera to show you. It's the back of that one. And also to say that with this one, you don't, sorry, I have to use two hands here. You don't have to have a sewing machine. I mean, I know I sewed around the edges of this one, but I just drew with my pen lines around it because that's what I wanted to do. So if you don't have a sewing machine, you can still do this, or you could hand stitch it too. I know a lot of people like to do hand stitching. So there we go. There are my little cards. I like the way most of them turned out, and I like the process. This is a little wobbly. Hopefully when it dries, the glue dries, it'll stick better. I may change out some of the words anyway, and I'm going to sew around that one. But that's my project. Those are my projects. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.